Hello, everybody. We are live. It's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time, Monday, March 28th, 2022 AD. How is everybody? We're streaming on multiple different platforms, as always, right? Today, I hope you had a nice weekend. I did. It was chill. I'm going to talk... Well, I have a little announcement. I have a debate coming up, but I'm going to talk about this phoniness about Jada Smith. Jada Smith is a phony. She is the wife, supposed wife, of Will Smith. They are both actors. Well, she's an actress, I guess, or was, and he's an actor/rapper. Did she sing too? I don't know. But there was some drama at the Oscars last night, which I didn't watch it at all, but I overheard Nick, the anchor baby, playing the scene of the slap for Jesse. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That is the slap that Will Smith did to a fellow black comedian, Chris Rock. So I'll talk about this mess because this is not Jada Smith's first drama regarding the Oscars, which nobody cares about the Oscars, but it's just, for some reason, I want to point out the mess that she's been having a history of spreading. Maybe to remind you about her. And is Will Smith a simp? I'm also going to talk, I am remiss in not covering the, a little bit about this BlackRock thing. I talked about it. I mentioned I was going to talk about it on Friday, but I didn't end up talking about it on Friday. I ran out of time, had a bunch of calls and stuff. So I'll touch on it. I shall touch on it. BlackRock buying up all the homes. It was news almost a year ago. Tucker Carlson covered it and others. And actually, some of the liberal outlets covered it too. So I'll touch on that. And I'm going to also talk about these evil refugee women. When you think of in the government, when you think about the refugee women in government, I don't know about you, but I think of Ilhan Omar. Some people did something. And I will mention her, but I'm thinking of an older refugee woman. Well, now she's dead. Who was pushing mess as like the top woman in the government back at the time, 20 years ago. So sick. That's Madeleine Albright. I came across some old videos of hers while watching a show called, I believe it's called Modern Politics on Odyssey. Shout out to Modern Politics on Odyssey. My old de facto producer, Dylon, showed that to me. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Again, I had a great weekend. Went to the mountains. It was cool. Not too much snow up there. Actually, it was hot. It was hot. Hot as in like 70 degrees. But for some reason, it was just hot. It felt hot. I don't know. I guess because I was expecting it to be cooler than that. So it felt hot. In fact, I got a little bit sunburnt. I can tell, you can't. I got a little bit sunburnt. My hands. I don't like to get my hands sunburnt. But anyway, hope you had a nice weekend. And make sure you catch Church with Jesse Lee Peterson from yesterday. It was excellent, all right? It was excellent. Always is, really. But the last few weeks have been particularly great for, they always are. Anyway, quick announcement, guys. Did you know that I'm going to be on a debate this Friday? Is the Great Reset real? And I would welcome your help if you would like to help, okay? I also have some super chats to read, but Friday, April 1st, that's April Fool's Day, 2022 AD, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. You can watch it live on YouTube on Modern Day Debate YouTube channel. Is the Great Reset real? I'm going to debate a young lady named Stardust, who is an interesting person, I guess. I mean, yeah, she's an interesting person. I watched a little bit of her videos. Yeah, there she is. So that should be fun, hopefully. I think it will. I watched a video of her covering, like, drama between this guy named Mr. Girl, whom I may touch on, not touch on, that sounds wrong, whom I may talk about because I also caught a debate between real Vincent James and Mr. Girl. But anyway, she's like a friendly with him, I guess. The Great Reset, from what I understand about the Great Reset, it's been something that's been pushed by like the World Economic Forum, and they say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, but it's not a real conspiracy because it's out in the open or whatever. You know, that Klaus Schwab guy. And they like to exploit any crisis for a power grab and consolidate and pretend like we're going to build back better, get stuff ready, and be prepared for the next global pandemic or whatever, the climate crisis or the Ukraine-Russia thing. I've heard that even this Ukraine-Russia thing is part of this, power grab, New World Order. Isn't that something that that Biden himself was heard saying? And there was this Australian woman or something like that, or New Zealand woman, so-called public health official, who said something to that effect, mentioned New World Order, and they're always, no, that New World Order, that's a conspiracy theory. It's a false conspiracy theory. But I saw this and I haven't watched the whole video yet, but I came across this. Somebody probably tipped it to me, sent it to me, or mentioned it in comments. Alex Newman on The New American. The New American is a conservative outlet. Alex Newman is a fairly conservative young man, sort of mainstream, but also fairly conservative, sort of off the beaten path, but also, I don't know, interesting guy. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show before, multiple times. Crimes of the Educators is one of his books that he co-wrote with a guy who's famous but now dead. Putin, the Deep State, and the New World Order in Ukraine, out on YouTube, March 15th. And he said, while many conservatives, the description reads, while many conservatives have embraced the Russian strongman Vladimir Putin as some sort of hero against the deep state and its New World Order agenda, New World Order, to me, that's like another word for the Great Reset, right? Kind of thing. The facts show something much different, argues New Americans Magazine's Alex Newman on his episode of Behind the Deep State, his recent episode. Instead, Putin is a longtime communist. That's what Donnie Armour was saying, by the way. Communist intelligence and security operative, closely connected to key agents and agendas of the deep state, including following his friend and close advisor Henry Kissinger's strategy. He was a friend and Henry Kissinger was a close advisor of Putin. Is that true? Henry Kissinger, I don't think you guys are fans of Henry Kissinger, am I right? I don't know much about that guy, but I've heard that name before, and I think of him as being like a globalist, neocon, neoliberal type of guy, war type of guy, or something like that, is the impression that I have. His strategy for building global governance, Kissinger's strategy, by creating regional governments as outlined in Kissinger's book, World Order. Wow. And that's Putin's friend and close advisor, Henry Kissinger? Is that guy still alive? Even his alleged Christianity is suspect, Alex explains, Alex Newman, meaning he's suspicious about Putin's alleged Christianity, pointing out the takeover of the Russian Orthodox Church by former, quote-unquote, KGB agents, Putin's persecution of non-ROC Christians in Russia. I'm guessing that's Russian Orthodox, right? And the strongman's bizarre comments comparing Christianity and communism a few years back, like in 2018, I guess. The Ukrainian government is also connected to these dangerous groups and agenda, a subject Alex plans to take tackle in an upcoming episode. So he's basically saying, I think, that it's evil versus evil. So don't be too quick to get on this guy's side. But I don't know. Just an interesting thing that I thought I would share. And that will be in my blog post for today. You can check it out if you want, I guess. I mumbled there. I trailed off. You can check that out if you want, I said. So, you know what? Before I get to this, I'm going to get right to this messy Will Smith and messy Jaden Smith. But let me get to a call, guys. Steve in New York City wants to talk about that black female Supreme Court nominee, I think. What's up, Steve? How are you doing?
How you doing, Kate, man?
Doing well.
Let me tell you something. I don't understand how Americans right now are not rip-roaring mad at when our public servants, they're not officials, they're not our leaders, they're our public servants. When our public servants are contemplating appointing a Supreme Court justice that cannot define what a woman is,
I know.
And me be calling a racist and a sexist for mentioning that? I mean, seriously, I don't understand how people are not rip-roaring angry and going out of their minds. I called my senators, Chucky Schumer and that other girl, because I'm in New York City.
Yeah.
I called them and I told them, I'm going to call them every single day and voice my opinion every single day about this. This is outrageous. This is stupid.
Right.
I mean, really?
And you know why she doesn't want to define woman, right?
Why? Yeah, I don't know. What's your answer? I mean,
it's because she is kissing up to the transgender non-binary agenda. Because those people say that a woman is not a biological female.
But
adult.
think about this. Think about this.
It's ridiculous that you have to say biological female. It's redundant.
I mean, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is absolutely. I feel like the past year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, I've been living in a simulation of the Twilight Zone. I swear to you, I am surrounded by people that are putting masks on to keep safe. I mean, for what? Is your house sterilized?
Right.
Is your house sterilized? I mean, they really actually believe that a mask that was in their pocket, on the floor, in their car, and handled for weeks at a time without getting washed or changed can save them. Really? When actually there's more fecal matter. There is more fecal matter on your cell phone and on your toothbrush than on your toilet seat. This is absolutely 100%, this is absolute fact. There's more fecal matter on your toothbrush.
You don't have to keep repeating it. We heard you the first time.
I'm sorry.
Terrible.
But we live in I'm like, when are we are America is primed for an invasion of strong, tough, people, because everybody goes, I don't know what to do. Anyway, thank you for your show, and thank you, Jesse Lee, for his show.
Nice.
I listen to it every single day, both shows.
Cool, man. Appreciate that.
Anyway. All right, man.
Take care, Steve.
God bless, man.
You as well. It's an insane world. Yeah, stop saying that word. Man, but he's right that, people are so weak that we're just getting taken over without a shot fired. Well, there have been shots fired, let's be serious. But it's crazy. Let me talk about this Jada Smith, Will Smith mess. If you don't know, you probably heard about it. Will Smith slapped, apparently, allegedly, Chris Rock. Will Smith, an actor who won an Oscar last night, I guess, for something, right? Because he played this in this movie called King Richard, which is in which he plays the father of Venus and Serena Williams, the black female tennis players, not to be confused with LeBron James. And I guess he won an award for that, right? And he's crying. Oh my gosh. I have some screenshots of him crying. So we just show that Will Smith, how far the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has fallen. Remember he used to play in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? He was a funny rapper, young guy, funny. I said funny twice. Will Smith wins Best Actor and apologizes to the Academy. I remember thinking I kind of liked Pursuit of Happiness, where they misspelled the word, Happyness. And he played alongside one of his sons. And his children, oh my gosh, they've gone sort of off the deep end. Just dressing up like girls, the boys dressing up like the girls. It's like weird. I think one of them was friends with Michael Jackson, which is cool. And look at him, he's crying and all sad. And he apologized after, when he went up and accepted his speech, he apologized for hitting Chris Rock. And you know that he hit Chris Rock supposedly because, and some say it's 50-50 whether this is real or staged or whatever, right? But supposedly he hit Chris Rock because Chris Rock made a joke about G.I. Jane, and apparently Jada Smith, Will Smith's wife, who's been around forever, 50 years old or so plus, and she has this thing called alopecia, 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 and I've heard of that before. I have an album by this group called Why, called Alopecia. I don't know what the point of that was, and then I heard about it again from another man I know and used to work with, a young man, who got alopecia. Like he would have bald spot patches in his hair. But then he talked with a man named Dr. Singh, whom a few of you may remember. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show sometimes over the years, Dr. Singh. And he gave him some good food to eat, good food regimen and perhaps some herbs and things. And that cleared up this young man's alopecia. A few years younger than me, this young man. And it cleared it up and he grew his hair back. Alopecia. You just get weird bald, patchy bald places in your head. But these black females, apparently it's common among these black females. And so they start going making it a fashion statement to just be bald and just you deal with it. You being the whole rest of the world that has to look at you. Because I don't have to look at my hair except if I'm looking in the mirror. But the whole rest of you have to look at it. So I try to make it a little mildly presentable. Not so with these black females. They shave it bald and it's jarring a little bit. Although I guess after seeing it so often, maybe you get used to it. And some of them, they wear so much makeup on their face, it just looks like something is missing, which it is, her hair. But anyway, Jada Pinkett, I don't know, maybe she acted like she wasn't, or she had a face like she wasn't amused by Chris Rock saying that she should be in G.I. Jane, the next G.I. Jane. G.I. Jane being a movie from 1997 when this white actress, I guess she's white, named Demi Moore, ex-wife of that, who's that guy from Die Hard? Ex-wife of that guy from Die Hard, who's an older action star actor. And then she went from him to this Ashton Kutcher guy. Didn't she go to this Ashton Kutcher guy, younger man? That's a side note. But she had a buzz cut, and she was playing like she was this tough, skinny woman in the military. Oh, gosh. Ridiculous. But so he made a joke about that iconic, goofy movie, right? Jada Pinkett apparently appeared none too pleased about that, even though she does this women's empowerment and I have alopecia. And I don't know if he knows that she has been public about that. She's been public. Yeah, Bruce Willis is the guy who was married to Demi Moore. Bad. Anyway, so then Will Smith was chuckling about it because Chris Rock is a funny guy. And then he decides, you know what? He disrespected my wife, allegedly, right? So he goes up and slaps him, and he goes back and sits down, and Chris Rock is like, whoa, I just got slapped. Only he cussed a little bit, but he was like funny about it. And he wasn't sure that Will Smith didn't just slap him all in good fun, even though it was a hard slap. Was it all in good fun? And then Will Smith, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. His wife that he's not morally straight with, you know? Anyway, Jada has been a mess. You know that? Jada Smith has been a mess regarding the Oscars for some time now. I have some headlines from like 2016, 2017, 2018. 2016, this is from The Guardian, far left foreign outlet, UK. So a shout out to the UK, those of my listeners. But the media, The Guardian, trashy. Jada Pinkett suggests boycotting the Oscars over lack of diversity. Remember this? It's just a reminder for those who may not recall. Some of you guys got into politics, maybe some of the younger ones or whatever, got into politics, interested in politics. And then we will get to your calls. Hang tight, guys. At a young, like after 2016. And so this is January 2016. Jada Smith, and it was featured on Twitter. Jada, they call her Jada Pinkett Smith because she used to be Jada Pinkett. Was she in that movie Above the Rim with Tupac and all them? Or am I confused? Jada Pinkett Smith, she kept her last name as her middle name, one of those feminists, calls for a boycott of the So White Oscars. This is a Twitter trend. Twitter promoted this back in 2016. After no POC were nominated, POC, people of color, this is Twitter writing this back then, were nominated for an Academy Award in the acting categories, the actress issued a call for change. Several people, both inside and outside Hollywood, chimed in to agree with the hashtag Oscars so white. Hashtag Oscars so white. Meaning hating white people. Hating white people. Imagine, like, violent crime so black. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, so here's this clip, 11. Yeah. From Facebook, here's Jada Pinkett Smith, on her Facebook page. We must stand in our power. And it's 2.5 minutes long. Bear with me through this, guys. Here's this grandstanding woman. And at this point, she has her hair. This is 2016, like 6 years ago. Listen to this mess.
Hi, today is Martin Luther King's birthday. And I can't help but ask the question, is it time that people of color recognize how much power, influence that we have amassed, that we no longer need to ask to be invited anywhere? I ask the question, have we now come to a new time and place where we recognize that we can no longer beg for the love, acknowledgement, or respect of any group? That maybe it's time that we recognize that if we love and respect and acknowledge ourselves in the way in which we are asking others to do, that is the place of true power. I'm simply asking the question.
What a fake.
Here's what I believe. The Academy has the right to acknowledge whomever they choose, to invite whomever they choose. And now I think that it's our responsibility now to make the change. Maybe it is time that we pull back our resources and we put them back into our communities, into our programs, and we make programs for ourselves that acknowledge us in ways that we see fit, that are just as good as the so-called mainstream ones. I don't know. Here's what I do know.
Man, why did she talk like that?
Begging for acknowledgement or even asking diminishes dignity and diminishes power. And we are a dignified people.
No, you're not.
Powerful, and let's not forget it. So, let's let the Academy do them with all grace and love. And let's do us differently.
Man, why is she so managed?
Hey, Chris, I will not be at the Academy Awards, and I won't be watching.
Is that
but
Chris
I can't
Rock?
think of a better man to do the job at hand this year than you, my friend. Good luck. And to the rest of you, nothing but love, always.
Man, what? She's like sitting there with her legs wide open. I mean, granted, she's wearing like jeans or whatever, but she's like has these like mannish mannerisms and phony, and talking all soft, saying we have power, talking like she's logical. It's true that when they're always begging, that's a lack of dignity, but that's also a lack of dignity, right? Sick woman. Did you know that Will Smith didn't even know that she pulled this stunt until the mainstream media showed it? I have these few headlines from Jada Smith, 2016, inside this black women alopecia stuff. Oh, she also tweeted, by the way, that same morning, January 16th, 2016, at the Oscars, people of color are always welcomed to give out awards, even entertain, because blacks are very entertaining. And she didn't tweet this in like a thread, like they had to compile it. Twitter physically compiled it for her because she apparently didn't know how to tweet it into a thread so that it's all together. A thread is where you reply to your first tweet and then it makes a thread, the second tweet, and reply to the second tweet and makes a third tweet, and it's all one thread. But she didn't do that. Anyway, boomer. No, she's Gen X, I guess. And then she said, people of color are always welcome to give out awards, even entertain at the Oscars. But we are rarely recognized for our artistic accomplishments. I think she overestimates that. Should people of color refrain from participating altogether? People can only treat us in a way in which we allow, with much respect in the midst of a deep disappointment. What a mess. So then she had this headline about her, and Will Smith, and this trend started saying, Oscar's so white. Will Smith learned of his wife's Oscar boycott video from the paparazzi. You know, she's like saying, let's do a BET. Oh, we already have a BET. Let me tell you, if I was the only person of color nominated, my wife would have made 2 videos, Smith said, laughing at of criticism that Jada Pinkett Smith's boycott was inspired by his lack of a nomination. She would not have gone with me. Trust. In other words, he expects her to just disrespect him. So she went behind his back and made this MLK Day video. Martin Luther King. It's Martin Luther King Day. And apparently, Chris Rock they like him hosting. Because he hosted back in 2016 and then again just last night, I guess. Stop diminishing your power, Jada. Okay, so then in 2017, she was reacting to the nominations. She was, what is the headline from Variety? In 2017, a year later, Jada Pinkett Smith on a diverse Oscar nominations. It's a beautiful thing to see. So they're kissing up because she and other messy blacks have threatened to boycott, and now she thinks it's so beautiful, or she did back then. What a sick woman, and what a sick kiss-up culture of the Oscars. I know nobody of us really cares about Hollywood, but it's just showing what a joke. And then in 2018, Jada Pinkett Smith wants to make sure the hashtag Oscars so white from 2 years earlier wasn't just a fad. Give me a break. Let me show you these other alopecia women. I don't know if I showed these to you. So, NBC News shows her with her bald head. And it's buzzed, you know, how Jada Pinkett Smith is uplifting black women with alopecia. The actress recently took to Instagram to reveal the challenges associated with hair loss. She revealed her alopecia diagnosis way back in 2018, and since then she's embracing the challenges of the condition and publicly displaying the evidence of hair loss with confidence and candor. So much confidence that she gives a stink face when, allegedly, I don't know, when Chris Rock makes a joke about it. Keep your wife's name out of your mouth. There's another woman named Mabel Peralta. Apparently, like, when you fix your hair a certain way, you're stressing your hair, and so it's more likely to get bald. I guess they were saying that however they treat their hair, it makes black women's hair fall out more frequently. So it's more common among black women to get this alopecia stuff. There's various different things going on with it, right? Mabel Peralta is another black woman. And it doesn't look right. And she's all showing off her bald head. And she even has... Look at that. No. I mean, it's okay to do it, but then don't make a display out of it, I guess. Right? Look at this other picture. Ugh. Yikes. Bluish sort of farmer's tan with... I don't know. I don't like that. It's gross. And then there's Ayanna Pressley, the woman from, where is she from? Baltimore or somewhere? She's a female representative. Black. And like way too much eyeshadow, in my opinion. All kinds of makeup, and then just this bald head. Trying to force you to get used to it. In my opinion, this is just as much a, like, political statement. She needs to talk to Dr. Singh. These ladies need to talk to Dr. Singh. Maybe they could get it fixed. And they also have, you know, various things. They do. Black women wear wigs all the time. I didn't even know that, but they do. Or weaves and different things. Whatever. Anyway. I'm going to talk about the BlackRock thing after I get to a call or two, guys. First, Alexander in California. How are you doing, Alexander?
I'm doing amazing, James. I'm glad you put me on so soon because a lot of audience members are very curious what my... well, you obviously disagree with me on this, James, but I respect you a lot even though you disagree.
Nice.
My solution to white privilege. You obviously don't believe in it as much as I do, but I'll give you what I think my solution is. Okay, James?
Your solution to so-called white privilege? White privilege?
Yeah, I believe in it. You don't. So,
and you think it's a problem? No, I think
yeah.
whites have the privilege of having been raised right generation after generation, so they establish a good reputation for themselves and seem to have a natural inclination for some reason lately in towards supporting freedom and being decent and polite people. So people are naturally more trusting of them.
Okay, James, I got to tell you this, James. Well, I was in my college professor
What's white privilege to you? What's white privilege?
I went to CRC, and my college professor told me that society, there are going to be social ills, so that way society will never be perfect unless they do the simulation hacking thing. But still, I think that it's the cosmic luck of being white. If you want just a very bare bones definition, is the cosmic luck. So
being white is cosmic luck, meaning God blessed the whites by making them white.
We can get like the deeper definition, but like that's one of it. It's like no one decides what race, no one picks their genes. So that's one of the things. So you want me to just say what my way of handling it is?
But you didn't really tell me what it is.
Well, it's like it's also a lot of civilization stuff. There's a lot of luck. People who are white happen to have a lot of good civilizations that they can go to and still be part of the majority. They get treated well by like people. They have the benefit. They have the benefit
of their forefathers having built civilized countries.
No one gets to pick who their forefathers are, though. I didn't get to pick my forefather. I didn't get to pick that 25% who wasn't white.
And
I didn't get to pick that.
And all the other races are reaping the rewards of those white civilized countries.
Okay, James, now you want to hear my solution? You might find it kind of surprising.
Go for it.
A lot of audience members want to hear it. Okay, like I've said, how to handle white privilege. One, note that one of white people's greatest offenses is not being grateful for their privilege by rejecting their identity, along with several other atrocities, such as slavery and brutal colonization. You obviously don't agree with me on how brutal the colonization and slavery was, but I think that some of it's pretty brutal. Two, meritocracy.
I mean, there's a time and place for brutality.
Okay, two, meritocracy is itself racist. Like I said, I'm an anti-racist. I will argue that meritocracy is itself racist. Three,
So you're saying
white-
that nature discriminates, the nature of things discriminates against the POCs? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and three, therefore, whites should actually be raised population-wise, I think. Because you hear people talk about reparations all the time.
Say that last part again.
Well, people talk about reparations all the time.
No. Say that last thing before you said that.
The population of racial Europeans should go up.
Oh, okay.
Like people,
Meaning whites.
People keep asking. Sorry, go on.
Whites should have more babies? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I actually agree with you guys on that. That's one commonality we have. I think they should go up so they pay reparations, though, so they have, like, the ability to do it. Because, like, people keep demanding them, but, like, if they keep going down numbers, they can't pay reparations. I think people don't realize that.
So you want whites to have more babies so that they'll be able to afford the reparations?
Here's the thing, James. When people say white...
What about reparations? What about reparations from the blacks who've been so destructive to our country, especially over the last couple years?
They're very unlucky that their forefathers didn't make any good nations.
That's not an excuse.
I mean,
they owe us reparations. They owe us reparations for destroying the communities.
Well, they got enslaved also, and
that's irrelevant. They did not get enslaved. Their forefathers may have. Some of their forefathers may have. That's not an excuse. They still owe us reparations for destroying.
Well, James, let me go on with that. Therefore, whites should be raised whites. When I say whites, I mean racial Europeans. Some people like to lump racial Middle Easterns and North Africans, racial North Africans into it. When I say white, I mean I'm going to be specific. I mean racial European when I say white. In this, when I say white, I mean. Okay, well, a lot of people also just mean racial European. People just assume that, but I just want to be specific. So therefore, a globalist welfare state should be created. In any welfare state, those who do better at meritocracy help those who do not do as well. Welfare states are compatible with capitalism. See Dr. Steven Pinker on Big Think, like he does the Big Think on why libertarianism is a marginal value, not universal. I mean, is a marginal idea, not universal value. He goes into why there are no libertarian countries. Whites and other groups should pay taxes as needed to fund the welfare state. Whites may inevitably pay more due to the meritocracy's racism. So there you have, and then I have number 5 in here. I had done 1, 2, 3, 4, now I got 5. The ideology of competition should be rejected or brought down so people can be more prosperous economically. See 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. So there we have my 5 steps to how to handle white privilege.
Gotcha.
What do you think, James?
I think it's crazy, but I appreciate your call, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me, James.
Nice.
So have a nice day, James.
You as well. You still praying morning and night?
Yep, the silent one. I noticed that is very good for anger management, the silent prayer. Anyone who does it has a lot better anger management.
Right on, man. Well, take care, Alexander.
Likewise,
and get a job.
Amen, James. I'll look for one.
Nice, man. Take care.
I have been. Bye.
All right. Bye. Isn't that nice? Let me get to Art in Ohio. Art, how you doing?
Man, what's up with Hake, man?
Doing well, thank you. How about you?
Man, I got a bone to pick with you, man. I was listening to, I had to go back and listen to what I was saying on last time I talked to you. And I'm mad you hopped up on the phone like that. Didn't give me a chance to get ready or nothing. I'm like, oh, I'm fumbling with the phone, trying to cut it off a speakerphone and everything. Straight up. Hey, first thing first, when Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, she complaining about the little Oscar awards. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was years ago.
I didn't realize it was 6 years ago. Go ahead.
It wasn't that long?
Yeah, it was 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's like these liberal females, the females over here, are just so weird to me that y'all complain about getting beat up, complain about, oh, they don't respect black people and we need to start our own little TV show and do it because they don't appreciate us. But then you turn around and you back right up in these white folks' face, the same people that you was on YouTube and made suggestions to other people that we need to start our own Oscar because they don't respect black people. But look in here. Now all of a sudden, when all this stuff is going on right now in these last couple years with all the violence and all this little stuff with y'all about the richest black people, Negroes, in probably America, and y'all still don't got no sense. I mean, don't get it wrong or whatnot. I understand, you want people to be respectful of you and, don't maybe talk about your wife, but we know Chris Rock is a comedian.
Right.
And Will Smith is a comedian. Don't nobody take Will Smith serious. Like, when have you ever looked at Will Smith and been like, oh, he's a tough guy? And ever since I was a kid, I always known Will Smith to be the funny guy. He made you laugh. He was you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so I totally know what you mean.
Yeah, so what gets me is...
And she's not one to command respect, this Jada woman. She's a poser.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. You are so... You get nailed dead on the coffin. Long story short, not one to demand respect. Second of all, just like I said, you got all this money and y'all still don't know how to act. This is what my mom and my pawpaw used to say, and my grandmother. Don't go nowhere with me and act like you don't got no sense. Because first thing first, you won't be able to come nowhere else with me. Or second of all, they ain't one of them type of people. My mom or my pawpaw or my grandma, they'd check you in front of people. So if you act like you ain't got no sense or act like you rude and as a kid don't got no manners, they're the type that they will whoop you in front in the store. Yeah. You know what I mean? They don't care who's watching us. So it would be the best bet as you being a kid to understand you better act like you got some sense or you gonna get, long story short, I just can't believe that somebody with that much money don't understand that and as old as Will Smith, don't understand you don't go put your hands on another man. Right. You see what I'm saying? Especially in front of so I mean, I don't know what's going on with Chris Rock. You know, he must not be a man like how I am, because I'm not letting no other man smack me or put their hands on me at all. And if that was me, it probably wouldn't have went that far, wouldn't I? Will Smith would have probably been fighting, which ain't good for neither one of us, because we don't need to be in front of everybody like that fighting. True. You see, over something like that, you know, if y'all have a problem, y'all go behind closed doors and y'all do that. Let alone Will Smith must not know that they used to, back in the 1700s, they used to duel over that, meaning that if you smack somebody, they would go set up like a meeting match to where they would have a shootout. Like, meaning you would take 10 steps. I'm explaining to your listeners because they might not know what I mean when I say duel. They would put their backs towards each other and they would take 10 steps away from each other. Then they would turn around and they would fire a single shot gun, a musket at each other. And whoever got the kill shot got the kill shot. And that's how they handle stuff. So when you smack somebody like that, that's something serious. You don't go put your hands on nobody, another man like that. Right. So I don't know what type of respect that Chris Rock, the man, but I don't know too many men that's letting people do that like that. Second is Jada Pinkett is a cursed female along with Will Smith, and she's I think a daughter of Zion, but she's one of the females that don't follow the commandments, and that's why her hair ain't growing. This is what one of the curse the Father God said he was going to put on the females, and she is cursed. And she needs to watch what she's eating, and maybe how the lifestyle she's living. Yeah, and maybe her hair will be growing. And then one more thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and hop up off here. Art heart don't got a tan in the summer or the winter time. I'm gonna stay copper colored whether whether it's cold or whether it's hot. But Father God bless you, Hake. And yeah, I love you, and you ain't got to tell me you love me back because your actions speak louder than words. Hake, you have a good one, and we still rolling with Trump.
All right, Art. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bye.
All right. You know, Big Bump says Jada was in Menace 2 Society, number 2. Menace 2 Society, which was one of the black shows. It was not Above the Rim, I guess. Yeah, she was in some of those older movies. And she was, like, young and pretty and didn't... I don't know if they've had work... I don't know. Some of these actresses, they get, like, work done on their faces. I don't know if she did, but she doesn't look the same, I hear. What a shame. You know what? Let me quickly get to Richard in North Carolina because he wants to talk about this woman. Richard, how are you doing?
What's up, James?
Hey.
Hey, you know what's so funny? That's, you know, even in Klingon, you know, if you smack a male smacks another male like that with an open fist, that's a challenge to the death.
Klingon?
You know?
What's Klingon?
Yeah, Klingon society. I mean, I'd say Klingons exist in the Star Trek world. That an open fist like that is a challenge to the death.
Wow. So it's a Star Trek culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fictional culture, but it was a challenge to the death. Yeah, I mean, it is. This,
yeah.
I mean, Jesus said, if a man strikes you on the cheek, turn to him the other, which takes some self-control, I guess. But
I want to just real quickly say, you know what white privilege is? You know what white privilege is, James?
What is it?
It's white, weak, beta males trying to tell people of color that they're victims. That's what white privilege is.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Anyhow,
that's as good of a definition for a phony term as any, I suppose.
Oh, God. I mean, tell me about it. Why do we have to tell people they're victims? I mean, if a person is really a victim, they should be able to self-identify without listening to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I saw that. I was on YouTube. I looked it up, and I got up at 5 o'clock Eastern time because that's where I live. And one of the YouTube videos with that whole incident with Chris Rock had 8.8 million views already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a viral video. I think some people, I mean, it's their show is boring, so they have to bring in some Jerry Springer type mess into it.
Do you think that was real, or do you think that was fake?
I have no idea.
I mean, you know, the fact that we're even talking about it is getting what they want, probably. I
suppose. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I don't think they care
either.
what I'm saying.
But you know, I was just amazingly surprised that happened, and now I'm thinking, oh great, now the Oscars are going to be a ghetto. You know that where people are going to start hitting each other, and
they've been that
gets rewarded for it.
You know, they started kissing up to giving more diverse awards to a more diverse cast. I was reading in Hake News that this black queer female, queer as in LGBTIQ mess, female supporting actress won an award, and she was the first in her category to get an award. What was this? Ayanna DeBose. Ayanna DeBose won Best Supporting Role in a West Side Story is the thing. Yeah. And she was openly queer woman of color. First openly queer woman of color in that category.
Who cares? Who cares?
Stupid. And then some handicapped guy, I think he was a deaf, got an Academy Award. Troy Kotsur, because he got an Academy Award for this Coda movie about Coda, children of deaf adults, meaning they can't hear.
Hey, how much do you know about deaf culture? I'm just curious.
Nothing.
Do you know how bigoted a lot of deaf people are towards young people? Oh, they're horrible.
Toward
they're
who?
Absolutely atrocious. Deaf people of hard of hearing. And, you know, they'll turn against each other if they get those implants and they can hear again. They shun them out. They're some of the most bigoted people on earth. Some of them are real extremists.
Really? I didn't know that. How do you know this?
Oh, because I've worked with a lot of them before in special needs classes and stuff like that, and And I hear people, they're really hesitant about getting those cochlear ear implants because they know they'll be shunned.
Oh, so once they can hear, the real deafs will shun them because they can hear. Yeah. You're not a real deaf. You got the implants so that you can hear. Wow.
You're trans hearing, I guess. I don't know.
Terrible.
Whatever. But I mean, some of the disabled groups are some of the most horrible people on earth.
I mean, that's why it's a liberal thing, because they feel sorry for these people, and when you are treated like a victim, it brings the worst out of you. When you're catered to and pandered to and all that stuff, it brings out the worst.
Oh, and I also wanted to say one other thing is that, what happens if I wanted to go on YouTube and talk about how white men are balding? Oh, wait, that means I'm racist then, right?
I suppose so, or you just get mocked like crazy. They'd be like, you guys are balding, losers.
As a white balding man, I think I have a certain privilege. I have white balding privilege.
I guess so. Nice.
Whatever.
Well, it's good to hear from you, Richard. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you take care. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Some super chats, guys. It's time to get to some super chats. I will get to Chad shortly here. But first, Lord Bibby42 says, Hake, Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters died. Yeah, he died at like age 50. That's I saw a couple of headlines. He was the drummer for this band called Foo Fighters, which I think they took over after that one guy allegedly killed himself from Nirvana. Foo Fighters. And they sang at the White House, "There goes my hero," to Obama. I want to spit. Anyway, I don't know if he was a founding member. 50 seems a touch young, maybe, but I could be wrong. Guess not. Maybe they were young. Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters died. My guess, it was probably a celebrity sacrifice, speculates Lord Bibby42. The Foo guys are all Democrats and possibly involved with that leftist pedophile ring. I disavow. With Mark Ruffalo and Anderson Cooper. Pure speculation. He's joking around, although we don't know, right? Lord Bibby42 says, also, on my way to work, I noticed the Earth's shadow on the moon had a curve, which means the Earth is round. Sorry, flat earthers. The truth will set you free. Well, the flat earth, to correct you there, the flat earthers say that it's round like a disc, just not round like a sphere or an elongated egg shape thing. Well, thank you, Lord Bibby42, but yes, I agree with you. Some say that the moon may be concave. Rather than a ball, it's concave. I don't know. Based America First with several super chats here. I think that's several. A few, anyway. Based America First states, interesting conversation with Bastiat last Thursday. Yeah, I debated against Bastiat, this liberal atheist guy, sort of libertarian, liberal, neoliberal atheist guy, last Thursday about individual freedom on The Crucible. You could check out thehakereport.com/appearances and find it. Bastiat appears to hold several contrary positions. He supports the Constitution but wants open borders. How can there be a Constitution if there is no country? Interesting. Bastiat considers taxation as theft. Did he also then indirectly say that taxation is necessary to fund a large government so it can defend your freedoms? Perhaps I misunderstood. Based America First goes on. Bastiat thinks men should not have equal say in an abortion because women are affected differently by pregnancy. He then continues to say both men and women should vote because they are equally rational and public policy affects them the same. Fair point. Yeah. There is no such thing as equality. Based America First says he seemed to say public accommodation must be enforced, meaning you can't discriminate against blacks or Jews or women in your business. You're not allowed to, meaning anti-discrimination laws are legit in his mind. In my mind, it's not. Say I go to a black business, they don't want to feed me. They shouldn't have to feed me. It's better they don't feed me than they be forced to feed me by law and then they spit in my food out of resentment. Or I start to suspect, hey, maybe they're treating me a little bit differently, and so I sue them. A whole bunch of frivolous lawsuits. So dumb. Get rid of anti-discrimination laws. That's only breeding distrust and suspicion and hatred and more division, interestingly, right? Mama spirit, trying to force everybody to get along. Get along! We don't want to. Whereas the dad would separate you two. We're separating you two. Segregation. Nice. Anyway, he seemed to say that public accommodation must be enforced, but compelled speech should not be. So the bakery must provide the cake, but the customer has to write the message. Yeah. Bastiat then turns around and says ISP, public accommodation, ISP, internet service providers, such as those who've deplatformed like the Daily Stormer website and many other websites. ISP, internet service providers, public accommodation, can't be compelled to host a website because the customer's free speech violates the TOS, terms of service. Yeah. It's not forcing the ISP to do speech. It's just forcing them to platform them. That's it. What a mess. Contradictory, huh? And he doesn't seem to have the respect for the spirit of the freedom of speech. He was so dismissive. I'm talking about this Bastiat guy. He was so dismissive of Nick Fuentes based on a cookies joke. 6 million cookies. Is it possible that it have been 6 million cookies baked in such amount of time with such and such amount of ovens and kitchens? And, you know, the whole going joke is that he was comparing it to the Holocaust and calling into question if the logistics would have worked out. And he doesn't know. We're young people. We don't know, and we question everything because you media and you so-called historians are so dishonest. And there's a lot of suppression about that stuff. And and then they pretend that it's, if you believe this or that, that means you're heading towards genocide. Whereas, no, if you have hatred in your heart, you're leading toward, that's murder. If you have anger in your heart, you're leaning towards murder. You're a murderer in your heart. Jesus said it. Jesse's talked about it in church. But no, they want to ignore their own hatred and justify their hatred for the whites who in their minds hate the Jews or whoever. So dumb. So it's a corrupt culture. It's an anti-white culture, anti-men culture, anti-freedom culture. So I disagree with Alexander over there. Anyway, we are just about at the top of the hour. I'm going to get to Chad from the Dominican Republic very shortly here. But first, since we're at the top of the hour, I got to play this music now, guys. Some music for you. This is 6 Organs of Admittance. And it's a 6-minute song or so, close to it anyway. And it's from the 2006 album, The Sun Awakens, on Drag City Records. Drag City. 6 Organs of Admittance is headed by Ben Chastney, who's a talented guitarist in my mind. And this is track 2. I played Torn by Wolves on Friday. Well, this is Bless Your Blood. Bless Your Blood. Don't know what that means. I don't think he's a Christian, but at least it is not outright vulgar in my opinion. So enjoy. Cover your ears, you musical Philistines. Press mute or grin and bear it. And I'll come back and talk you through it. Here is Bless Your Blood by 6 Organs of Admittance. Hang tight. of nice. Deadwood sound, I like. Thank you, Vex Carol. I'm inspired to read Tolkien and the entire Lord of the Rings books listening to this track, says Tim Scott. Shout out to Tim Scott, the real one.
Once your mind's been sinking, don't scratch for your life. Bless your blood's been thickened, hold descending twice.
Isn't it kind of nice? I enjoy it, guys. I hope you do too. Robbie Lewis Brown. Some people are suspicious of this album. Oh, thank you, man. That's cool that you put me in there. Chris, Galaxy Brain, is showing me as well as the album art. Isn't that cool? Genius. Kickflip. Robbie over there on Facebook. Shout out to the Facebook crew. Says instead of bless your heart, it's bless your blood. Yes, Robbie from the beautiful South. Yeah, I don't know if this man is a Southerner or this Ben Chastney guy. When the sun awakens, what happens? Asks Noah, man. I don't know. JJ Money pointed out I was hiding the Confederate flag. How sad. I brought it back, man. There it is. I had it for my debate. 6 organs, 6 minutes from 2006? Huh? Don't read into it, Uriel. Isn't it kind of nice? These guys are he's also part of that band Comets on Fire. And I think that they were more like psychedelic or something like that. So maybe it has a little bit of that. Finally, some music that doesn't make me want to go out to the field and scream. Hake got some gems in his CD collection. Thank you, Canadian David. Smart Canadians. Buffalo Bob music. Who's that? Another super chat from Brandon M. Gave a super chat. In the spirit of Alexander, my caller, I'd like to call in and discuss my 5 steps of wasting everyone else's time. Rants Brandon M. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Please do. Please do. And thank you guys for, some of you guys sent my Telegram and in Odyssey tips for the reading up on the Great Reset. Let me get to a call here. Chad in Dominican Republic has been on the line for some time. I got to get to him. Chad, thank you for calling and holding. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Amazing as well. Thank you.
Amazing. Did you know that those chimneys for those cookies weren't even constructed until like 2-3 years after the war?
I heard something like that. I don't know. But yeah, that's funny that you know about that stuff.
I used to be big into that stuff, and it's like, you know what? Why hate them? They know not what they do.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Fair I love point. Them. If I love anybody, I love those cookies.
Right on.
So I wanted to call in and talk about how it's weird. Jada seems to attract shiny-eyed, not morally straight men. You know, like Tupac first, and now Will.
Oh yeah.
Maybe she's into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
One of those.
Well, look at her
tags,
children.
You know
like there was somebody who was spamming my chat. By spamming, I say like repeating the same comment multiple times. But I saw it the first time, buddy. You don't have to spam. He said, "Look at her son. He wears like dress." So what a messed up family.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
absolutely.
her and Will's son. Like I forget what his name was. Is he the guy who played in Karate Kid? He was all cute. I mean, Karate Kid.
Yeah.
It was actually Kung Fu Kid. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
There was another thing I wanted to bring up. It was like a societal, contextual thing about. It got into my head because of all this talk about dueling and slapping people, right? So Jesus, when he said turn the other cheek, like social contextually, it was almost like a troll to troll the Romans, because if you offered your other cheek and the Roman wasn't paying attention, he might accidentally front hand slap you instead of backhanding slap you, and then all of a sudden it's like you're there challenging this lowly Jew to a duel, and you got a crowd of Jews going, "Oh my God, what did you just do?"
Huh. I didn't know that. I knew that it was considered a great insult to be slapped. I mean, I guess to this day.
Well, right, but if you like, let's say the Roman backhands you, and you offer the other cheek. If he doesn't think about it, he might accidentally front hand slap you, and now you got a crowd of people seeing a Roman challenging a Jew to a duel.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's about all I wanted to say.
Well, I appreciate it. Did you know anything about alopecia? Alopecia?
Alopecia.
This bald spots that these black ladies in particular seem to be getting for some reason.
A chick with no edges.
No edges.
That's from.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what
edges means like the hair is meaning their hair gets thin around the edges. Is that what you're saying?
They're little baby hairs that they put down with the toothbrush and everything. But if you pull your stuff back too hard, you're gonna get alopecia.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for the tip on that. Yeah, I think there's an article out there that I think it's on Huffington Post or something that advises the black ladies on how to, diminish their chances of getting that. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, they're angry, right? So they treat themselves horribly.
Yeah, that's true. The body does not do well with that evil spirit, does it? That's true. Interesting, man. I appreciate it, Chad.
No.
Good to hear
from
you.
My brother, you take care. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you as well. Bye. So let's talk about this BlackRock thing, shall we? Morning Brew reported last week. Morning Brew is a far-left liberal outlet. And I read this to you in Hake News on Friday, I believe. Here's a quote. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has put an end to the globalization we have experienced over the last 3 decades. And I ask, is that good news? In his annual letter to shareholder, evil BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, who I don't think is a Christian, but he's a billionaire. In fact, I know I don't know, but I'm quite sure he's not a Christian. Larry Fink predicted the Ukraine war will transform the global economic order established post-Cold War. The last 3 decades saw the countries build trade links across the world, but now they may start looking inward to shield their economies from global supply chain disruptions and geopolitical conflicts. Sounds kind of good, right? We should be manufacturing here, right? We should be self-sufficient, energy independent, and things like that. But I don't like or trust my impression of what BlackRock is, right? Aren't they buying up all the homes in America? Not all, obviously not all, but a bunch of them. And they're not the only ones, actually. There may be others that are worse than them, just don't get the publicity, But I looked it up, and I neglected to get to this on Friday. I apologize, guys. Thank you for bearing with me through that. This is from June of 2021, headline from Fox News. Faux news. But this is maybe real news. BlackRock and other investment firms killing the dream of home ownership. So says a journalist. And this journalist has been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show before, and he's been on Tucker Carlson. He seems to be okay, Could be wrong. Past JLP guest Pedro Gonzalez of Chronicles magazine on Tucker Carlson. And he's talked about the Agenda 21 stuff. Agenda 21, I don't think it's called that anymore because we're past 2021. But it was a UN thing that wanting to have people like more centralized in the cities and using public transportation and using in these high-rise buildings housing, right? For example, all across Pico, I think this is part of Agenda 21. Believe it or not, I think. A woman named Michael, Tea Party lady, has talked with Jesse about this Agenda 21 stuff a few years back, by the way. It's on YouTube. I'm blanking on her name. But anyway, you'll see up on Pico Boulevard. In fact, that's what they want to do to our building. but they've gotten some hangups, right? Our building meaning the building that Bond is in. Not mine. Anyway, according to the Rhino outlet, Wall Street Journal, they're tearing down stuff and building up high-rise. It's ridiculous. Anyway, and it's ugly, and it's transforming the city for the worse. Shameful. Reminds me of my father being upset about all the McMansions being built in Arcadia, transforming the look of the neighborhoods away from the beautiful white neighborhoods. And I don't even think that my dad's into the white thing necessarily, but he's like, doesn't like this whole just violation of the character of the neighborhoods that's already there. Selfish, egotistical. Well, frequently, in my opinion, I think it's been Asians been coming into Arcadia and building up their McMansions. So now it's a whole bunch of these little palace things, and they're all tall, blocking the sun and the mountains. You can't see the mountains very well as much. You see the foothills, beautiful San Gabriel Mountains. What a shame. Anyway, according to the Rhino outlet Wall Street Journal, WSJ, I call them Rhino, far just off the deep end evil sometimes. Sometimes they have good info, though, okay? But they went after PewDiePie. Wall Street Journal, though, had a report last year that BlackRock, led by billionaire Lawrence Fink, that's that non-Christian Larry Fink, is purchasing entire neighborhoods and converting single-family homes into rentals. While in cities like Houston, investors like Fink account for 1/4 of the home purchasers. Imagine, like these huge investors are 25% roughly of those who are buying homes. I would think that's making it more expensive for normal people to buy, and it's single-family homes. It's like, that means it's a family, and this home fits one family. But it's not very efficient for the globalists. But BlackRock is buying it, and then they're just going to rent it out to people. So, you don't own anything. You will own nothing type of thing. I don't know. 40% of American renters, by the way, believe they will never be able to purchase a home. Well, don't be one of those doubters, you renters. Do not doubt. I mean, whatever, but don't have a mindset, right? Don't have a fixed mindset, because then you're just going to trap yourself, right? That's advice that I have heard. Meanwhile, permanent capital like that from firms like Fink's are killing the dream. Permanent capital, I guess, is another word for these corporations. Are killing the dream, the so-called American dream of owning a home and building your wealth from that, right? And giving us a nightmare of dispossession, meaning, this is a quote from, I think it's from Pedro Gonzalez. The impetus for firms to mass purchase housing is to underwrite pensions, and pad their books by spiking housing prices. Wow. Shenanigans. Commie capitalism. Am I right? Maybe. Pedro Gonzalez, warned that these reckless actions will only accelerate the next housing bubble. You know, over 15 years ago or 14, 13 years ago, there was a housing bubble. The blacks weren't paying back their loans, and Bill Clinton had said, every black should own a home. And so they were giving away loans. The banks were forced to give away loans to blacks. The blacks couldn't afford to pay back, or wouldn't afford to pay back. And so it was a whole bunch of mama corruption. Mama and spoiled child corruption. So wrong. And so there was a housing bubble. And it wasn't just that, but it was that. And there was a housing bubble, and then it crashed because people weren't paying back the loans. And there were also shenanigans being pulled. Government involvement was part of the problem. But the government swooped in. We need to get more involved. Dumb. In my opinion, I think it's dumb. There's a right and wrong way to be involved, right? For the government. Okay, the same institutions also promote progressive political policies like environmental policies, reports Pedro Gonzalez. that also raise the price of housing, and they push for more immigration, like J.P. Morgan Asset Management, he says. He calls one out by name. Isn't that crazy? Slate also covered this. The far-left Slate magazine covered it. Investment firms aren't buying all the houses, but they are buying the most important ones. And they may be right about that, I don't know. And then the Atlantic, the far-left Atlantic, said, BlackRock is not ruining the U.S. housing market. This is their headline, right? BlackRock is not ruining the U.S. housing market. The real villain isn't a faceless, sorry, I'm backwards today, a faceless Wall Street Goliath. It's your neighbors and the local governments stopping the construction of new units. It's an article by this Derek Thompson liberal. So basically, he wants those high-rises being built that I just told you about, complaining about. He wants those high-rising. Oh, that's your housing. You will own nothing. You will be happy. So isn't that interesting? So phony. Ridiculous. So does that make sense? Before I get to Madeleine Albright, an evil refugee woman, let me get to a call or two, guys. We're at 10:20 after, just about. Arnold in Arizona is on the line. How are you doing, Arnold?
Hey, I'm doing well, Hake. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Let's see if I can put this together. It's just something that came to thought. Putin and Ukraine, then the president says New World Order, and I see them destroying Ukraine, everything except the nuclear plant. So they could build the newest city that the world has to see, the Green New Deal city, everything very progressive. And then we knew that the president there was already very progressive with universal wages and other social ideas that he had.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So I just see this thing being rebuilt, and then the Ukrainians won't be in the way because they're being told to migrate elsewhere. So the Ukrainian nationalists won't even be a problem because they're going to get diluted because they're being asked to leave. So I see this as the newest city in the world. And then they'll show us all these images of how we should all rebuild it and help Ukraine. So we'll all send our money there to rebuild this thing, and it'll be the what would you say, like the forefront of this new world.
Interesting. I mean, they can take any crisis or perceived crisis and turn it into something that they want, use it to push their thing. That's for sure.
Yes.
You're so right about that.
On our reaction.
Right.
Because right now, the bleeding hearts, right? There's a bunch of bleeding hearts out there, right? And, they'll send their money there, right? And then it'll be the forefront. There's a better word than forefront. It's like the emblem in the front of the car, It'll push us.
Yeah.
And it'll even say, why don't we do that here in Arizona? Why don't we bulldoze single-family houses? It's the same thing that the communists did. If you talk to a communist, an ex-communist who's about 80 years old, it's the same thing he saw done in his country when they bulldozed single-family to bring up the high-rise and make everything equal. So I don't know how Putin's being used, if he even knows he's being used. But that's what I see. That's why they're destroying this country.
Yeah.
And the culture. So there'll be no Ukrainian culture, right? Because everything's being destroyed. They're migrating.
Did they have anyway, I don't know. I was going to ask if they had a culture. I mean, I know that they celebrated that one guy who was crazy.
But I'm sure they do. I'm sure we can just never hear the true nationalists, right?
Right.
I just don't think we hear the real men, on the street, It's another thing. We never hear the Ukrainian soldiers talk. We just see pictures of women, children, and old people, right? Another bleeding heart. We never hear real men talk.
Yeah.
So, I know there'll be a nationalist movement to say, hey, where did our country go? Just like you talk to the old school guys here in America, they know something totally different than the new school.
Yeah.
And when you get the old school out of the way, the new school has no bearing.
Yeah, that's true. It's fun. It's crazy how differently the generations think. Like how the good old days when we had a tougher culture.
Mm-hmm.
It seems so foreign now. It's so foreign that they think that slavery was just the worst thing ever, and there's nothing comparable that's more evil happening today that they're supporting that is worse, like abortion and the LGBTIQ stuff. Those slave people, those slave owners would be rightly horrified at the moral degeneracy that we have going on right now. Rightly horrified. So
yes, yeah,
what a mess.
We're definitely in love. We're in love with images that have nothing to do with who we are as a country. You know, they have the principles, the real principles of our country. These images that we've been under attack with, you know, for quite some time. They're total opposite of how the country was built and founded.
Yeah. True.
But that's what I wanted to say about the Ukraine, man. I find it very interesting. I don't know. It's just very interesting.
We'll see what happens.
We're paying for this war. Yes, sir. And we're paying for this war. This is literally, we're paying Russia for this war. I can't prove it. I just know it. I just know it.
Right.
Is that after they take control, all that money that the bleeding hearts are going to send, not to mention the federal government, in whose hands is it going to fall in?
The people there to exploit it. It's true, man.
The people there. It's interesting. Hey, Hake. Well, thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you, sir. Take care, Arnold. Good to hear from you.
You too, sir.
All right.
Good. Same here. Bye-bye.
Bye. Before I get to calls, somebody said something funny. I think it was Tim Scott said, G.I. Jada. That's a reference to Jada Smith. Alopecia is a blood disease, Master Hake, says Karen Williams. Ah, interesting. You know, let me cover, before I get to you guys, I have to cover this thing. It's 10:25, and I don't know how long this is going to take. These evil refugee women. You know, I talked about Madeleine Albright. I call her Madeleine Albright. She died recently at age like 84 or something like that. But she looked much older for many years, in my opinion. But she's a refugee who became a U.S. politician, a so-called Secretary of State. And then before that, she was head of the UN, United Nations. I don't think she was a Christian, by the way, although she was purportedly raised Catholic. But I think that's like Catholic in name only. Catholic is supposed to be Christian, right? At least nominally. But she's a liberal and doesn't have Christian values. I heard that they changed to Catholic just to protect themselves because really they were Jewish. And this was in a place in like Europe or somewhere where the Jews had like a bad name and they were going after them. I don't know. That's what I heard. I don't know if it was the Nazis, the commies, or both. Anyway, Albright recently died. I heard a clip about her bragging that she's a refugee too, and I have that clip. And then at that point, I went from a refugee to the most powerful woman in the country in United States politics at that point, right? So I listened to this man and his wife named Warren Baylog. And he apparently hosts a show called Modern Politics. And hat tip to my former de facto producer, Dylon, for showing this to me. I was listening to it yesterday. This is from March 26th, which is pretty recent. It was on Odyssey, Modern Politics on Odyssey. Legacy of Evil. And it's about Madeleine Albright. It's also about NATO and Ukraine and Russia amid this Russia war. And they were just debunking, by the way, you know, this Warren Baylog, Balogh, and his wife, I guess, was co-hosting or something. NATO pretended to have these set of facts. Speaking of what this guy was talking about, my caller just now, facts versus claims. They're trying to act like, oh, we're giving the truth on their website, the NATO website, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. People say NATO's just a purely defensive alliance. And I don't think that that's true. They support the gay agenda. That's very offensive, right? Wouldn't you say that's very offensive? That's not defensive, that's offensive. Anyway, and then some. They support all kinds of mess, military actions. Purely defensive, though. That's just propaganda. You could say, I'm defending myself. There's this line, they cry out as they strike you. Oh. Anyway, this Baylog guy kind of debunks what NATO is claiming all along the way, saying it's basically America and these other big countries running the show with these smaller countries pretending like they're freely involved, and we just want world unity, give me a break, and world peace. But they haven't been heading over peace. And they add context to them that shows that NATO's not telling the whole truth. They're being very deceptive, selective, and hypocritical in what they say. Of course, it's no gotcha to call evil people hypocritical, right? Because evil people don't care about lying to your face and not holding to the principles that they pretend to hold to, or that they try to hold you to, right? But it just shows that they're deceivers who should not be trusted. Yeah. And so part of that is this woman. This is clip 12. This is a mainstream media, apparently, a puff piece. And listen to this music. It's like 3 minutes long, okay? You're going to have to bear with me. I have 3, 5, 6, like 7 minutes long worth of clips, okay? So here's the first 3 minutes. This first one is apparently a mainstream media puff piece on this woman, Madeleine Albright. I don't know if it's before she died or after. And it has mostly Bill Clinton, the guy who appointed her to be the Secretary of State. You know, the liar? Bill Clinton, the liar? So listen to this clip 12. Here's this puff piece. And it's just mess. And I saw this on the Modern Politics on Odyssey, Legacy of Evil. So listen to this.
From the very first time I met Madeleine Albright in 1988, I could tell she was brilliant, tough, and talented. She was a passionate believer in freedom, democracy, and human rights, and her worldview was forged from her childhood.
I wasn't born in this country. I came here when I was 11 years old in order to escape communism, and I have been grateful ever since. I was the first Clinton person to go into the White House after the election in '92 and worked on the transition. And I thought, well, they'll give me some job.
President Bill Clinton has long supported the establishment of War Crimes Tribunal at the United Nations.
After 4 years of outstanding service at the UN, with a great sense of humor to go along with her keen understanding of our changing world.
Frankly, this is not cojones. This is cowardice.
I was proud to nominate her as Secretary of State.
Nomination, Department of State. Madeleine K. Albright of the District of Columbia to be Secretary.
I, Madeleine Corbell Albright.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
I was the first woman Secretary of State, and I loved working for a president who understood America's role. It was my greatest honor.
Madeleine knew firsthand that our decisions had the power to make a difference for real people around the world. She saw that as both an obligation and an opportunity. She knew that if America was going to thrive in the 21st century, we'd have to do so through the strengths of our partnership, our commitment to cooperation, our moral leadership, and the trust we inspired in people around the world. As the end of the Cold War ushered in a new era of interdependence, Madeleine seemed made for the moment.
I pledge that you will grow up with America at your side as you seek to build a better Kosovo.
Fortunately for all of us, she never stops.
I have always tried to look for something that's more interesting to do than the thing I did before. Not easy if you've been Secretary of State.
She's always there with a wise word, a fresh insight, the jolt of her classic wit.
I heard this man saying, can you imagine I'm a refugee and I just got my naturalization certificate from the Secretary of State. And I went up to him and I said, can you imagine that a refugee is Secretary of State?
Are just a bucking up when we need it most.
Our experience is proof positive of the importance of having women's voices in the government.
From our incredible journey from refugee to Secretary of State, to her ongoing efforts to educate the next generation about the importance and benefits of diplomacy.
Giving people who want to make a difference the opportunity to do it, and I hope that I'll be able to do that until the day I die.
No one more fittingly defines what it means to be a true global citizen.
Global citizen. Awful, huh? Bill Clinton, all old and decrepit with his feeble voice. It's sad to see him like that. Not that I... Anyway. Human rights. No. Escaped communism and brought it here. Give me a break. Or brought evil here, regardless of whether it's communism or not. War Crimes Tribunal with the evil UN, and she supported that? War crimes. Look at yourself. The first woman Secretary of State. The refugee-to-Secretary of State. So lame. These next clips are from 60 Minutes. It's a 1997 interview. Again, I got this from Modern Politics on Odyssey. They were playing it. Legacy of Evil. This is a 1997 interview with 60 Minutes, and they talk about how she became Madame Secretary. This dumb mainstream media is so shallow, so evil, kissing up to the first woman and misguided. She does not belong. I don't think that it's been good. I wonder if, I don't think it's good for women to be in this leadership position, because look at how ugly she ended up. I mean, maybe she would end up that ugly anyway, because, you know, it's this evil spirit turns you ugly, maybe. Plus maybe genetics, not sure. But to me, it doesn't seem right. And I'm thinking that it's just even worse because they can't handle the stress. But look at this phony woman. This is another 2.5 minutes, guys. Bear with me through this. I think it's mildly interesting. Madame Secretary Madeleine Albright. And it has this black guy from 60 Minutes doing the interview with her. Listen to this.
Madeleine Albright has been on the job for a few weeks now, and Washington is already used to the idea of addressing the country's top diplomat as Madam Secretary. But when we dropped in on the new Secretary of State last week, we found she's still getting used to the idea.
Do you ever pinch yourself?
Every morning. Just, you know how sometimes you wake up and you think, well, I just had a nice dream. Do you think it's really true? You know, and so it's a little bit like that. Somebody said to me early on, do you realize that you have Thomas Jefferson's job? And that kind of little
ego
there.
John Marshall?
Yes. This entire hall is filled with former secretaries of state, and it gives you a great sense of history, and I have to think that I'm now at the end of this line.
What do you want people to know about you?
I want them to know everything about me. I am somebody who likes to have people know about me. I am not a secretive person.
One thing about Albright that is no secret is that she came to America as a child, a refugee whose family fled Czechoslovakia twice, first from the Nazis, then from the communists. But there were some things about her life that even Albright didn't know until just a few days ago.
With the opening up of Czechoslovakia and with my naming as Secretary of State, there has been some very compelling information that the Washington Post found, that my family was indeed of Jewish origin and that my grandparents may in fact have died in a concentration camp.
And this was all unknown to you?
Wow.
Totally.
What Albright claims she just learned is that 2 and possibly 3 of her grandparents were rounded up by the Nazis and taken to Auschwitz, where they died. At the time, Albright, her sister, and parents were refugees in London. Her parents never told her that they had converted to Catholicism in the 30s, and only told her that her grandparents had died in the war. This new chapter in her family history has come as a surprise to Albright, who had been very close to her parents, particularly her father, Joseph Korbel, a Czech diplomat who was serving at the United Nations in 1948 when the communists took over in Prague.
What a mess, huh? So she wasn't able to look in the mirror and see what her heritage might be? I'm curious. I'm leery about that. Washington Compost did a study and found out more about her than she knew. Here's this woman being sworn in as Secretary of State, another minute-long clip or so. And she was also, before that, she was doing mess at the United Nations, being all showboaty and arrogant and pushy. A pushy woman, but with no real authority. Listen to this.
When Albright was sworn in as Secretary of State, a senior cabinet member and the country's top diplomat.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Madam Secretary.
In her new job, Madeleine Albright is moving straight ahead in Washington's fast lane. But she's been in the public eye for the last 4 years when she served as ambassador to the United Nations. There she stood out from the pinstripe crowd. How many times have you seen the Macarena at the Security Council?
Oh, gosh. How charming.
You certainly weren't the typical diplomat at the United Nations. You were known for being outspoken. Some even said that you were at times undiplomatic. Is that just the way you are, or was that a deliberate tactic?
Well, first of all, I truly do believe it's important to say what you think.
And she used an undiplomatic Spanish word to express her contempt for the way Cuban fighter pilots boasted about shooting down 2 unarmed American civilian planes last year.
Frankly, this is not cojones. This is cowardice.
Her boss, President Clinton, called that the best one-liner in his administration's foreign policy.
Look how fat he was. He used to be kind of chunky and had some meat on him. Now he's just old and decrepit and emaciated. I'm talking about Bill Clinton. Shameful. Frankly, this is not cojones. It's cowardice. Yeah, okay. I'm not familiar with that incident, but they shot down 2 civilian American planes, and that's all she says? Anyway, let me play this last bit, because this was striking to me. This is a so-called refugee. I didn't know that she was a refugee turned so-called American politician. Disgusting. Am I right? Surprise, surprise, she was divorced and teaching at a university and telling women, interrupt. Listen to this. It's only 40 seconds long.
After the breakup of her 23-year marriage, Albright got a job teaching international relations at Georgetown University in Washington. But she tried to teach the women in her classes something else.
To interrupt. I found that as a woman, kind of working my way up in the government, was that women often wait too long in meetings to make their views known. And then all of a sudden some man says whatever it is that you were going to say, and everybody thinks it's brilliant. So I basically taught people never to raise their hands and interrupt. And I think that that's what women need to do.
So she's jealous that the men are saying what she allegedly thought that she was going to say, and then they're getting all the credit. And because she has this ego and wants the credit. This reminds me of what that Japanese guy did who got kicked out of the Olympics committee. He said, women in meetings, they all have this competition against each other. They all want to feel like they have to talk and seem important. And it just makes these meetings last too long. So she's jealous of these men getting all the credit. Say, oh, everybody thought that it was brilliant. I was going to say that, so just interrupt. Don't raise your hand. So rude, so egotistical. And by the way, she has a nice voice. I expected her to sound like, sorry, people. Does she have a nice voice or does she have a nice voice? Pleasant sounding, right? Mildly pleasant sounding. I expected her to sound all gravelly, like what's his name? Who looks like her? George Soros. George Soros. Doesn't George Soros kind of talk all grovelly like a devil? Or that guy who's supposedly the Attorney General of the United States right now, who's under attack because everybody wants him to go after Trump real hard. But he was appointed by Obama to be, nominated by Obama to be on the Supreme Court, but we didn't pass it. The rhinos, thank God for the rhinos, did not pass it. Him? Man, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the AG? U.S. AG. Merrick Garland. He has a decrepit, like, smoker voice with, like, phlegm in his throat. Ugh. Makes you just shudder listening to him. But she has a pleasant voice, but the face not so pleasant. And when she she did now. She's dead now. Rest in peace, lady. And I use the term loosely. Didn't seem very ladylike in many ways. Although she probably was mildly pleasant, and that's how she was able to rub elbows and get in, and other things, and get in. Shameful. Yeah, the nice voice surprised me also, says Christine. Nice. But that's what we're getting in America. And it's been happening for decades. He appointed her, he being Bill Clinton. He was in there for 2 terms. I think he got in like, 92 or something like that, 93, when he took office. And then he was there until 99 or so, or 2000, right? Beginning of something like that. No, through 2000. In 2001, George W. Bush took over. So all through the 90s, and at some point he appointed her. And so that's like longer than some of you guys been alive. Stop simping. I spit. Terrible, huh? She stole a mermaid's soul, says Reviver. So bad. So wrong. Quick super chat from John WX25 says, when are you going to 3 hours? I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to 3 hours, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Brandon M says, hey, I'm an alopecia expert. First of all, how do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? Well, let me know. Let me know. Oh, she was very charming. Taking care of business said Madeleine Albright would offer you a bowl of matzo ball soup and to play a game of dreidel if you came to the White House. See, that's how they get in. They're just so friendly. Reminds me of the gays, like, get people on their side by being all pretend nice and making them feel sorry for them. By the way, I came across this deleted tweet by the woman whom I mentioned, the woman with the alopecia, Ayanna Pressley. She allegedly tweeted last night, I guess, hashtag alopecia nation, stand up. Thank you, hashtag Will Smith. Shout out to all of the husbands who defend their wives with alopecia in the face of daily ignorance and insults. Hashtag Oscars. Women with baldies are for real men only. Boys need not apply. And she posted a picture. Can I drag this into my folder and I'll show it to you guys? Give me a minute here, Chris. Let's see if I can drag this in. From the internet. Direct. See if it transfers. Come on. Come on. We'll see if it does it. Okay. It's called FO54F6WWUA blah, 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 .png. And that's a screenshot of the tweet that apparently she deleted it. According to Grace Panetta, who is a Business Insider reporter woman. And she screenshotted it and said, just deleted tweet from Representative Ayanna Pressley. So she posted a picture. This is that bald black woman who, I think she married a man who already had kids, if I remember correctly. JLP covered this. A black dude. And the black dude must be quite a bit blacker than her because she's pretty black, but this black and white photo makes her look awfully light-skinned. Is she that light-skinned or what's going on? But anyway, that's Ayanna Pressley being all into the alopecia thing. Reminds me of what that guy said about the deaf, how bigoted the deaf are. They're all into their deafness, such that if you get an implant, a machine to help you hear, then they start discriminating against you. Terrible. Anyway, I'm going to get to the calls. Hang tight, callers. First, let me get to Keith in Illinois. Keith is on the line. Keith, how are you doing?
All right, Hank, how are you, buddy?
All right. Nice.
Yeah, I just want to talk about just 2 or 3 things. You know, I try to stay on real fast so other callers can call.
Yeah, feel free to call in, guys. If it goes on hold and you start hearing my voice and they don't answer right away, don't worry about it. They will answer. Be patient. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I was noticing that a lot of these black, supposed to be black, you know, TV, entertainment TV, like I call it BET, Black Evil Television. That's what I call it. And then do you know who own the OWN network? You know who owns that?
Besides Oprah Winfrey Network, OWN?
No, it's the AT&T own it.
Really?
Yeah. See what they do is, and a lot of them are government funded, so that's to keep the black people on the plantation. See, a lot of blacks they jump around, hoop and holler. They don't understand. All these networks are owned by white liberals. I'm sorry. And they keep them on the plantation. They keep what these little words of slavery, 1492, Jim Crow. All this is done by Democrats, boy. And they just keep them. They're all owned by white liberals.
Are they like normal white liberals? Because I don't know, man.
Oh no, they're the worst white liberals. They keep the blacks on the plantation. Oh, they're woke.
They can't be Christian.
Gay. No. Liberals, woke liberals are not gay. They satanic. Let's get this straight now.
Right.
They work in Satan. Yeah. And I noticed too that I was watching CNBC, and they had this black lady that was Secretary, Chicago Secretary of Treasury Secretary. And the guy asked her about the high cost of living because they want to go all green, right?
Yeah.
And so this is why they put black women up front. And so he said, well, what about the people that live in Chicago? Their inflation had to be pretty high.
Yeah.
He's worried. He actually worried about, the people that live in Chicago. And this is this how they throw you off now. They always got, buzzwords. She said, well, I'm black, so I'm from Chicago. And she didn't address the question about how the inflation is going to affect them. That's her little, her little detour. I'm black, I'm from Chicago, so I know hard times. She never explained, how they're going to deal with the bills or, how they're going to, how they're going to have heat and food. That's how they always deter. Then their new buzzword now is children.
Right.
That's their new buzzword.
I know.
Children.
Yep.
And I'm like this here. You didn't mention about 237 children that got shot last year in Chicago. Now all of a sudden she's going to mention children are important.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
So they always got these little buzzwords, children. That's they knew. At first it's democracy, which is a lie.
I know.
Now it's children, which is a lie. But they always got a new buzzword to deter people from what their really mission is, and they don't care. It's like Jesse said, if they don't care nothing about us, how they care about Ukraine? It don't make any sense.
Yeah, that's so true. They're fake.
Right, that's fake, and they love to put these black women out front. They just got to be gay. It's got to be, this. They always put the black woman out front. So, so that you can, you can't see through how it's still evil anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because you put them out front. But this is one thing about I figured out that they might want to take over Russia so that Russia can be fully gay. I mean, if they ever defeat Putin, they're going to have a gay pride by next year, and Russia get to be free and gay, even though probably hardly that many gays there. But they're pretty sure the gay part about how he treats the gay. I mean, they always got these little buzzwords to get you to think that murder, and chaos is okay. When they went into Afghanistan and killed like 60,000, 70,000 Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Okay. To try to take over their government and put their people in. Nobody said nothing. Nobody went against them. Nobody said, let's go against the oligarchs. Let's just make sure they don't have any money. Let's just boycott, America at all. They're doing the same thing that he did. And we done that to Vietnam, Afghanistan. We done it to Iraq. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the nerve of these people. Unbelievable, this evil government.
Right.
So that's kind of all I want to say is people quit falling for, when you see these black people on TV, they done sold out, you know what I'm saying? They done sold you out or sold out. So, and then they're being paid by, the liberals that want to have a gay agenda and keep them on the plantation. Pretty soon, I mean, when they get through with blacks, it probably won't be, they'll probably, what is it, like 40 million, 30-something million, steady depleting in numbers. soon to be number 4, in the United States.
I've
and
heard that.
They'll throw out a buzzword. And literally, black people will starve to death and die of thirst if you throw out a buzzword.
Yeah.
But they were just really just
They're suckers.
Yeah, they're suckers.
Yeah. Well, thank you,
All right,
man.
thanks a lot, Hake, man.
Good to hear from you.
I would like to give somebody a chance, say what I got to say. Thanks a lot, but y'all take care, okay?
All right. You as well, Keith. Take care. Bye. A few more chats, guys. Saw some interesting ones over here. Luke over there on Facebook said that the Ayanna Pressley and her husband, who's already had children, I think, he called them a cute couple. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Brandon M says alopecia is actually pronounced alopecia. See, I was right. That was my inclination, but you know how there's Alicia and then there's Alicia, and they don't like you pronouncing it wrong or something like that. So it's alopecia, I guess. Ragnar 0321 states on Odyssey, odysee.com/@the Hake Report, when NATO bombed Serbia in the 90s, which that would have been under Albright, right? I'm assuming, and Clinton, it was more gnarly than almost any American realizes. But no, they want to hype and hyperventilate about what Russia is doing. I wonder how different it is when we did against Syria. We, I say we, but not me. The so-called American government, the anti-American American government. Because that's what this guy was. This Bill Clinton, he had Madeleine Albright. He was touting her as a world citizen, a global citizen. Be quiet, right? And, the people whom I mentioned, Modern Politics, the Legacy of Evil video, they showed how she was just didn't care about starving out the kids to punish the leadership or whatever, and bombing people and all kinds of stuff, and sending our troops into wars. Ridiculous. She's talking about promoting our values around the world. You don't have values, woman. It's fake. Anyway, Justin in Fullerton, California, is on the line. How are you doing, Justin?
Oh, hey, doing very well. How you doing today, James?
Fine, thank you. Good to hear from you.
Well, all right. Well, likewise. I just wanted to call and ask why they're not building in California more housing for everyone.
They are building more housing, but it's not like homes. It's they're building these high rises. Are you aware of that? In the cities.
Well, yeah. Well, today I was learning a little bit about about BlackRock and
yeah. And I'm not talking about BlackRock doing that, but there are developers, and they're getting money from the government for like Section 8 and all that stuff, and UN is cheerleading this stuff, and it's nobody good behind it, seemingly.
Yeah.
Section 8 being subsidized poor people housing, mixing you with the degenerates, crime-ridden type people. Go ahead, though.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
So I thought it was interesting about the things you were mentioning about that, how they kind of convert things. But I also know that there is land developers hesitant. I guess there's hesitancy is the word, if it's the correct word. Yeah, because if you think about it, it's a capitalistic country. We're not fully communist yet. I mean, they're trying to convert us. But if you have a product you can't sell, my thinking is if you have a product that you cannot sell, why would you make it available for market?
Fair point.
And if you can't get your rent, what landlord is willing to take that risk?
I know. They just hamstrung and killed the normal people who own land and are landlords, who by saying you don't have to pay rent. And I know that Trump did this too, but they extended it out of control. And in California, the squatters, the people who are bums, don't pay rent, or they come in where they don't belong. They have more rights to your property than you do. You can't even kick these people out. Talk about breaking people. So yeah, I'm sure that there is truth to that. There's a lot of empty lots or empty buildings that, because it's the rent is too dang high, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, with Trump used to encourage building, and him being this developer too. But there was a lot of construction under his administration. Now there's a big hesitancy because California's got that rent relief, giving the relief to people that float, people that carry the debt and then bail out at the end. And that's going to be a high risk for people to continue to act like a socialistic society, where it used to be everyone has to pay for their own roof, and then they can do whatever else they want. Now, so I was just thinking how come they're not building as much. And I know that since they're converting, I don't care if it's from foreign investments from Asia or whatever, it shouldn't be like that, but somehow we need to do a lot of things local here. We probably just need to encourage more wealthy people to invest, because they'll be guaranteed the rent's going to be paid and get the gruesome Newsom's hands out of out of the rent relief out here. Yeah,
I agree with that. Are you did you say that you work in property management?
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, and I still do. I did actually take a break though, and I was gone for quite a little while, about 5 years. And ever since COVID, I had a calling I felt to come back to help the community because I thought there was genuine change within the world, and I wanted to be in a place that I found my passion. And I love helping people find a new home, but it's very, very discriminatory now, and it's non-fair, and it's supposed to be more like how it used to be, where everybody had to pay their fair share. And if you were on Section 8 or you had some type of assistance, it was already something sorted out where there was enough for everyone. Now we got people taking like our money for re-elections, and after they're getting kicked out, like it's just like recall for Newsom was a waste of California's money and time when they could have actually had real change. And it's probably going to get worse because the landlords have no power until December. After December, it's not a moratorium, but there's going to be changes. And if it is possible, then the rent will, I think, probably more likely drop.
Okay.
And people can start to afford it. Yeah, so we'll pray for that.
Interesting, man.
I appreciate you getting me on the show and everything. Yeah, and you always have great content. So I always tell everybody, I talk to all my community about where, I think you can find truth and even God. A lot of times you guys have great spiritual things, and in the Bible it says if you don't work, you don't eat. And so we do have assistance, and we do have churches and for that kind of stuff, but we shouldn't be raising taxes. And I heard in the news that Biden is literally trying to raise our taxes for another $2 trillion relief, and it's not going to local people. It's going to Ukraine. It's going to cover up his son's sins.
Well, I gotta go, Justin. I really appreciate it. Take care, man. And thanks for spreading the word. That's cool. All right. Guys, we are out of time. TheHakeReport.com/appearances for my updates, interviews, debates. Catch you hopefully tomorrow, guys. Thanks, and take care.